Hello and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Winona and today I'll be playing Scribble Scrambles along with his son, Scratch Scrambles. And today I'm with the amazing, the wonderful, the awesome.
Um, are you sure you're not describing yourself? In addition
Yeah.
to me, of course, because I'm also all of those things. Uh, but yes, I'm Fletch, and I'm going to be playing a little rat by the name of Fleck. Uh, Also, I love you so much, Marzi. This is why we have two backup recorders. We are off to a wonderful start already. Um,
Indeed.
but,
And
but yeah, I'm playing a little rat toon, who is very much not smart, but he's doing his best.
yeah, what's Fleck doing today?
Flack, I believe, I do remember you mentioning that Fleck got a little, business card. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure he acquired that through perfectly legal, perfectly A-OK means. And he's he's actually pretty interested in checking it out because, he does have two siblings he could ask for tutoring help, of course, but you know, Dillinger is already always so very busy, and Dillinger already kind of taught him how to read and all that, so he doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
to overload his older sister too much. And
Mm-hmm.
Maris hates doing work. So so he's just gonna yeah, Mares is very good and we love them, but he does know that they hate doing work. Uh, so he's gonna check out the tutoring because he did only just learn how to read not even a year ago, which does make it for it's a bit hard to keep up in classes.
Mm-hmm. Which is totally fair.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that business card leads you to an apartment complex, and on the third floor, that's where Scribble's apartment is, and you find it's an apartment complex. Thankfully, it's easy to read, unlike some apartment complexes I know. Gosh,
Apartment complex? Really, I find it quite simple.
honestly, I've been looking for a new apartment, and some of their layouts is crazy, but that's a different subject for a different time.
Apartment complex? Damn, they sure are.
Yeah, but you're say Fleck is able to navigate and find the door to Scribble's apartment.
Yep. So
Also, quick question: would Fleck call ahead to make an appointment, or would this be a walk-in?
um, I don't think the idea of calling ahead has ever occurred to him in his life. So
Fair
he
enough.
might just saw the business cards like, oh, I guess I'll just show up.
Fair enough.
Uh, so he's standing before the door in all of his 8-inch glory and double checks the little apartment number on the business card he has and the apartment number on the door before giving it a little knock. Or I guess a big knock. He kind of has to make it a big knock to make a little knock, proportionally speaking.
Proportionally speaking, this is very correct. And let's see. I'm gonna roll something really quickly. Yeah, and the door opens and a a UPN tune look down, say look around, but then look down and takes a step back so he can look down. He's like, "Oh, hello there. How can I help you?"
Fleck gives him a little wave and holds up the business card like, I heard you were doing tutoring.
Oh, yes, I am. Come right on in. As he opens the door to let you inside.
And he trots in after trots in after him. The door probably doesn't need to be opened up that wide. Uh, in fact, in just opening the door, he could probably have walked in at any point he wanted to, but, he's making attempts to be polite.
Yes. And can I pull it up really quickly? Scribbles apartment. Come on, where did I put it in the many folders that I have? Uh,
Apartment complexes do be earning their name today. I know
yes,
this is
they
the
are.
third time I made this joke, however, I'm hilarious.
Is it in here?
Yes, doing it 3 times exactly is for you, Marcy.
Really, can I not find this simple picture? Well, I'll describe the. Oh wait, there it is.
Yeah!
I passed it over like 3 times already. Yeah, when you walk in, you see on the left there's a little kitchenette area with a table on it, and then you see which is connected to the living room, which has a TV, coffee table, couches with the lamps on them, and it's not pictured because I haven't updated this photo just yet. Right next. Right close to the chest in the corner, there is a large table that is filled with multiple different flowers.
Aw, nice.
And Scribbles calls out, "Scratch, we have someone for tutoring. Say, are you? Oh, good." As he from the table, you see a little ball of Scribbles like flies over to This little ball of Scribbles fly over to Scribbles, and I mean, Scratch is the size of a tennis ball.
Finally, someone Fleck is taller than.
Yeah. Say, say, there you are, Scratch. Can you say, say, has Sally? No? Okay, alright, good. Alright. Say, what's your name? As he looks down at Fleck.
Fleck looks all the way up and does a little grin. My name's Fleck.
Fleck, it's very nice to meet you. My name is Scribbles. This is my son, Scratch. I say he usually helps me out during tutoring. He then goes over to a chair to like scoot it open to make it easier for them to get on the table. And say, what brings you here for what kind of tutoring? Say, what are you looking for?
Fleck takes a moment to climb up the chair and onto the table because he does like to feel tall. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and also, sidebar, I really do love just how everyone in this room has has extremely accurate names to what they are.
Yeah.
but uh but yeah, so he goes up onto the table and then he thinks for a moment, uh, cause he's like, well, I mean, there's a lot of things I don't know. Uh,
Oh, why don't you tell me about it? As he sits down in the chair, as Scratch sits on the table.
and Fleck is just like, well, there's there's English and math. I'm not really good with social studies, and science is hard. And he kind of goes on to list just about every school subject there is.
Hmm, I see. Uh, do you say do you have any homework or anything that I could help you with? Say to start off.
And he nods, like, yep, let me pull it out. And okay, no fumble. So he pulls out a math textbook and some little and math papers These are big sized, of course, so he ends up with a book that is much larger than him before setting it down.
Fair. Fair and valid. And Scribbles nods. Ah, that's perfect. We can start off with that if you're tutoring. Do you want anything to drink?
He thinks for a moment. Like, do you have juice?
Oh yeah, I got a juice box. As he goes over to the fridge, and Scratch like floats over to Fleck, and he does Fleck know Toon sign language?
Oh, let's see. What are your languages, buddy? You have two languages, Common and Grolix. Oh wait, he does know Toon Sign Language. This has popped up before. Every time I forget that he knows it, but he knows it.
Yeah, and you see Scratch sign. Hello, my name's Scratch.
Fleck grins back like, I'm Fleck! You know, it's not often that I meet someone who's shorter than me.
And Scratch nods, and he turns yellow with happiness.
Oh.
He's like, and I don't see many tunes that are they're around my size.
Uh, that does actually remind me that Fleck is a color changing toon now too, isn't he? Um, yeah, so the Fleck's little scale freckles and his tail uh kind of turn a little teal in response as he's like, yeah, it's you don't really meet a lot of us outside of and then he kind of freezes like, wait a minute. Is it okay to talk about tiny stuff? But this is a tiny. But also he's not supposed to talk about it. But also
Yeah,
uh,
as Fleck is pondering that, like Scratch like eyes widen a little bit as he sees the color change. Like, oh, you can color change too.
yeah, he was kind of turning a pink as he was going through that conundrum. Uh,
Mhm.
but then it's it's a light blue. Like, oh yeah, I'm still getting used to it. I got it pretty recently,
Scratch
but
nods.
so
Okay, and he. Oh, sorry. You go.
no, he's just kind of thinking like, were you always color changing?
I wasn't. I didn't even have a body until recently.
Uh, he's not quite sure how that works.
Yeah, and Scratch is just like smiling in yellow as he says this. Like this is totally normal.
He's like,
Probably time Scribbles come back. It's like, here you go. Here's a juice box, and he has a tinier juice box for you.
oh, he accepts the tinier jukes box, and is, you know what? This is acceptable. He'll just have to ask for another juice box later. Because he's used to regular size juice boxes.
Mhm. Scribbles is prepared
Yeah.
for any size tune.
And we love him for it. Yeah, so he happily starts sipping on the juice box and stares over at the math in fear.
And Scribbles gives him a reassuring smile. Let's see what math we're looking at today, and what kind of math is he looking at today?
um, it's Flack only just started school recently, so even though he's 17, it is probably like more simple things. Uh, like probably lots of simple things like multiplication. He's just starting to get into fractions and the like. Just that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Scribbles looks at this and nods. I see. I got an idea. If you're having some trouble with this, it's sometimes better to have a visual representation of this. Let me go to the library and get some stuff. as he then leaves the tables and goes over to a door leading into a library.
Fleck kind of nods at that, and you know, hopefully this will go fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's sure it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And Scratch looks at you again. Yeah. I'm gonna say a lot of people say you shouldn't feel bad. A lot of people have trouble with math.
Fleck nods like, yeah, it's really hard. Well, I mean, I only kind of just started learning it too, so.
Scratch nods. Yeah. We say my sister was like that for a while. She's still very new to life.
And Fleck kind of is like, really?
Scratch nods. Yeah. Marigold didn't know much not too long ago, but with Scribbles' help, she was able to learn lots of things very fast.
And he kind of perks up at that, like, oh, that sounds kind of like me. I mean, my I didn't even know how to read until, I guess, uh, some pretty recently, actually. I was still learning back in August. Uh, and, but my older sister helped me out a lot too. I don't want to bother her too much, though.
Mm. My my older sister likes traveling around a lot, so I don't say whenever I get to see her, it's really say, well, it feels special. Say, does your sister live with you?
You know, it's like, yep. Now she's gotta work a lot, so sometimes we don't see her too much. But on days off, we have a really good time. We we have an anime night, and we all get together on the couch, and we get to have cookies that my younger sibling makes, and it's a really fun time.
That's cool. Say Marigold and I like watching TV too, but we also say I've been getting into plants more recently, and I say we even have some plants over there. As he points over to the other side of the room with where the plants. I've been learning how to take care of them, and I've been wanting to learn more because of my sister. And say it's really cool. Come, as he then takes your hand and leads you over to the plant.
Oh, Fleck definitely lets himself be led by the hand. He is pretty interested in the plants.
Yeah. And in and then as you're being dragged over, you hear you actually hear Scratch. This is in Toon sign language. You hear him in your head. So, I say these are really interesting plants. Oh yeah. Also, I don't want to forget. Tell if I touch you like this, he raises his hands. Telepathic link. Don't worry about it. Unfortunately, you can't respond yet. I'm not that powerful, but maybe someday.
Fleck is very wide-eyed, and let's see. He is, yeah, he's a very nice blue color right now, 'cause like, oh, oh, that's so cool. And he does say this out loud.
Yeah,
And
and Scratch is glowing. Thanks. I say I'm really happy about it. Though I get a little overzealous sometimes. If I get overzealous, tell me. I say I should say I haven't had like I said say I haven't had a body until more recently. So I say sometimes I get over excited about everything. As he leads him to the table where the plants are.
yeah, Fleck kind of waves it off, like, oh, you're fine. You can't be any worse than my younger sibling when they get when they get into one of their cooking binges again.
Ah, I see. Yeah, let's see. Ooh, here, look at this. As he goes over to some, you would know it as a lily of the valley. They say all these plants came from a friend of ours shop. I say his name is Nebula. But anyways, look at these. As he then flicks the bell-looking flowers of this particular lily of the valley, it makes actual bell noises.
Oh, Fleck oohs at that. and uh, if Scratch ever at any point takes his eyes off of Fleck and the plant, he's just gonna take one of the blossoms and slide it into his hammer space.
See if Scratch sees this.
Yeah.
What
Can you
would
beat
that
a
be?
29? uh,
Can that'd be probably investigation. Probably
oh.
not, but we'll see if I get a nat 20. Nope. He
Oh,
does not see this.
I'm so sorry to Scratch. Flex sleight of hand modifier is just like that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, he thinks it's cool, so he's taking it.
Yeah. And these over here, I mean, these don't ring. These are pretty lily of the valley too. That's what these plants are called. They're my mom's favorite flowers.
Oh. And he's staring at them with big ol' eyes, like, they're really pretty.
That's not. Yeah, I agree they are. Though these look really cool too. As he like then grabs his hand, drags him over to the some cosmos, but actually have like look like they have galaxies in them.
Oh boy. You know what Fleck's gonna do? Well, that's a beatable score at least. So he pockets Cosmos. Oh
Oh!
shit! Scratch, you can see him grabbing one of the blossoms. It's a pretty quick movement, but like you turn back right at the right moment to catch him red-handed.
I mean, if you wanted a blossom or two, you just needed to ask.
Oh, I can do that?
Yeah. There's no harm in asking.
And then he's gonna point back at the lily of the valley that made a ringing noise, like, can I have one of those?
The whole plant, but don't see a problem with having some of the blossoms. You don't want to take too many of those because, like, that's how the plants live, you know?
He he nods and he's just gonna grab one more because he thinks it's really cool and slips that into his inventory. Like, thank you.
Problem. But also, look over here, too. As he. I can't, I can't remember what the flowers are called.
Oh no, I pat you.
Lavender. That's the word for it. As he goes over to, like, a mini lavender bush. It's like, and this is our last one. This is lavender. It doesn't do anything, but it makes really good tea.
And he actually looks the most excited by this one out of all of them. Like, you use this for cooking?
Yeah, yeah. I've learned that there's a lot of flowers you could use for cooking. And say lavender being one of them.
And he's staring at the lavender, and then he looks over at you, and then he looks back at the lavender.
Yeah, yeah. If you want a few, you can. And he goes over to pluck a little good handful of lavender stems for Fleck.
And then he's like, thank you. I mean, sibling's really into cooking and baking, so I think they'll probably really like these.
Yeah, and you can get a whole plant at like any flower store. These are pretty common.
Oh, you can? Oh, but
Yeah, you can.
how how do you care for them?
Oh, you go. See, over here, as he drags Fleck over to a flower book, taking care of flower book that he recently got.
Oh boy. Oh, I hold these two so gentle. Um, Fleck does indeed look at the book like, oh, I didn't know they made books on these.
They make a books on everything. They say usually if you want to learn, my dad always said that if you want to learn how to do stuff, the best way to start is to find a book about it.
That does make sense. I mean, I did find a book on quote unquote around find
Mm.
on how to deal with being dead, so I guess they do make a book for everything.
He cocks his head at that. Being dead?
Yeah, I also know about. There's also the whole Fae School manga that he reads along with his sibling, uh, which I am now obligated to talk about. But yeah, Fleck kind of just he he grins like, yeah, the whole being dead thing.
I mean, I guess there'd be book about death and maybe how to handle it. Probably depends on what kind of subject.
And he's like, well, it. I think it was for ghosts, 'cause there was a lot of ghosts in the house I found it in.
Like a little light bulb moment is like, oh, that makes sense.
And Fleck laughs at that. Like, yeah, they were really nice. One of them reminded me of my sibling. Though I guess not too much because he tried to eat trash, and my sibling doesn't eat trash. But otherwise, they're
Yeah.
pretty similar.
Yeah, trash is not good for people. Or at least most of the time.
Mm-hmm. He's, he's, he kind of just shrugs like, I don't know. I mean, I don't eat it as much anymore, but I used to eat trash a lot, and that was fine.
I mean, I'm guessing some people can eat trash, but I wouldn't find it very enjoyable. There's a lot of things that taste better.
And he nods at that, like, yeah, my sibling says that a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Scratch nods as by this time Scribble has come out and noticed them going up to and the flowers like, oh, Scratch, are you showing Fleck the flowers and our plants? As he goes over to them.
And Fleck nods like, it's really cool. I didn't know there were
Yeah.
so many kinds of flowers.
I'll be honest, me either. Scratch probably told you, but I'm not. Let's say I haven't learned much about flowers either until more recently. My daughter loves them, and my girlfriend likes at least some of them.
Yeah, Fleck nods at that, like, uh they sound really interesting. And I might look into it later.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of books on the subject. As you can see, we have one ourselves, but I know there's probably more at the library if you have a library card.
Fleck looks away. Don't worry
Oh,
about You can roll insight if you want
he's
to.
gonna roll in. I was about to say he's gonna roll insight on that man. What's your insight again, boy? Wrong page. Okay, that's a 13.
He has been to the library. um, and though you get the feeling he doesn't have a library card.
Hmm. You know what? Library cards are free. Maybe we could take a detour to the library and we can get you one.
And he kind of looks up like, oh, that's fine. Cause
Are you?
he
Sorry. Yep.
nods like, yeah, I don't have any trouble getting books there.
Oh, that's like very questioning.
He does not elaborate. Though I imagine you can probably piece together.
Scribble sighs. Do you steal books from the library?
No, I borrow them. I always put them back.
I mean, Okay, that's good. You always want to return books to the library, but when you go to the library, you want to get a card because there's other people who want to get those books too. And if the books are taken or stolen without other people's knowledge, especially the library staff, they can't inform people who want the books that do have library cards that they have the books.
I'm sorry to say that you kind of lost him there.
Yeah, he's like, it's not say, and he probably sees us like, it's not good to borrow library books without permission.
He nods at that, makes a mental note like, okay, no library, I'll just take them from the bookstore.
I say, though I say, again, a library card, getting one is not that hard at all. You say you just need a you just really need to go there and get one, and then you can show your card whenever you get a book, and they'll be able to check out the book for you. It's very simple.
He doesn't look fully convinced because what is more simple than walking in, taking, and walking out?
Oh boy.
I'm sorry to say that he's just like this. The the only way in which he will understand is in terms of people's emotions. He is a negative smarts no whiz boy.
Girls just like it makes say it makes people not happy for books to be taken without permission. And people sometimes get angry because the book they are looking for may not be there when it should have been there.
He thinks for a moment and then he's like, "Oh, okay. If you say it'll make people sad."
He nods. It would make people sad, but he then like reaches a hand out for them to climb on. We can go get we can make a little detour and do maybe our study session at the library and we can get you a card while we're there.
Fleck nods at that. And he also does take the proffered hand.
Yeah. And he like lifts up Fleck to their shoulder as like Siri's like, here, you can like sit on my shoulder.
He accepts it. He's used to kind of just climbing on people and taking a perch.
Yeah. And he like gets a additional book. Like he picks up your like textbook and homework and everything and organizes it. But he also picks up another book that was on the table that was his spell book and places it in his hammer space. It's like, all right then, let's take a little detour. As they go out the apartment, he locks it before leaving and goes to the library. Which
Nice.
yeah, and Scratch is also right beside you, just floating right next to you, Fleck.
Fleck kind of looks over at Scratch and is kind of just. He's kind of just a little bit, just a teeny bit jelly.
Yeah.
Seems like everyone around him can fly sometimes. That seems so useful, but it's fine. He's fine.
Yes. Everyone say those scribbles can't fly either. Well,
I mean,
do I want to burn a spell slot today?
they could take the. They could do the easy scene transition, or you can be extra and burn that spell slot for the fly spell.
He does have a fly spell.
Yeah.
little bit extra today, a little bit show offy. He's gonna he's gonna go outside the apartment building and he's like, all right, hang on, we're gonna go the fast route. As he then glows for a second and a pair of black like feathery wings appear from his back, which are like drawn in, look like they're drawn in.
Mhm.
And he flies to the library.
And Fleck is he's just sitting there cuz really Scribbles too. uh, you can probably hear him mutter like, "Why does everyone they meet be able to fly or have a climb speed?"
Scribbles is not very sure how to respond to that.
He's not too upset about it, but he was just a little bit jelly.
Yeah, and
He's
Scratch
kind
is flying right beside them too. It's just like
yeah, he's kind of just like his scales and his tail are just a little peach color, mottled with some pale purple.
um, you know what? He's gonna try to make a roll for that. It's a straight. Wait, what's your? Do you have? Nope. It's a straight roll for Scratch. But he's gonna see this and try something.
Oh boy.
I would say that. Scratch like hears you say this and then goes right behind you, and you can contest it if you want. But he's gonna pick you up and make it seem like you're flying with them.
uh, no, he's just gonna let it happen, and he's just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Um, but once he gets what's happening, he does let out a little laugh because, okay, yeah, that's fun.
And Scratch is glowing yellow again. He's happy that you're happy.
Yeah, it hold them all so very soft. Yeah, so Flag's having a good time now too.
Yes. And they very quickly, because flying, get to the library.
Mhm.
And they land, and the spell dissipates for Scribbles, and Scratch sits Fleck back on Scribbles' shoulder.
uh, Fleck does give Scratch a little thank you as he's being set down.
No problem. Is he looks again? It's his equivalent of a smile, but say he has no mouth, but he looks like he would be smiling.
Oh, yeah, Fleck is a nice teal color now.
Yeah, and Scribbles starts walking to the library. It's like, well, this is the I'm not very say this is the library, as you probably would know. Uh, though you would get your library card over here. As he enters the library, he goes to the little area where you would get the library card. I think if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've gotten one myself. I think it's still at the counter. Let's just say it's still at the counter. There's a sign that says, if you want library card, go to the counter, to the checkout counter.
Nice.
And Scribbles goes over to the library counter where they see a very stout halfling sitting on a very high chair to for at the counter. It's like, oh, welcome. Uh, how can I help you today? And Scribbles smiles like, we are here to get a library card for my friend here, Fleck. As he then points over to Fleck. He's and this halfling nods. Oh yes, of course. Let me get the paperwork to fill out the card. As he gets off his stool and goes off and get the little paperwork for the library card.
Oh, yeah. Fleck has become a kind of deep purplish color. Is okay now that we're actually here. It's a little bit. He's not that good at talking to people in authority.
Mm. You think would a passive say would an inside check be needed to see this?
Um, you can tell that he's fidgeting a little bit. This is very new to him, and he's just in the idea of having to do paperwork on his own is a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and Scribbles sees this. He's like, "Hey, it's all right. I'm here to help you with all this, and well, say if you need help on the paperwork, I'm more than happy to help. You'll say everything's gonna be okay."
He does relax at that, like, okay, all right, if you say so.
And Scribbles nods. Yeah, I say say everything will be okay. There's nothing scary. There's nothing scary here.
Fleck nods at that. Personally, he thinks paperwork is pretty scary, but he won't fight Scribbles on that.
Scribbles lives for paperwork.
And that is why Scribbles is the wizard and Fleck is not.
Yeah. Yeah, and the halfling eventually comes back with with just one sheet of paper for paperwork, and he's like, "Oh, okay." I say, if you can fill out this paperwork, I can get you your library card sooner than you think." As he holds out, as he like sets down a pen and the paperwork for Fleck to do stuff.
Yeah, Fleck probably hops off to take a look at the paper, and I'm gonna have him make an intelligence save to see how well he can handle this. He cannot handle this. There's a whole bunch of jargon he doesn't understand. He doesn't know what these spaces are for. What's an initial?
And Scribble sees this and here roll another thing because he's gonna give you the help action on this with helping filling you out.
For audience reference, he rolled a 2, and then he rolled a 1. uh,
Yeah. Oh,
he, he cannot make heads or tails of this.
I say Scribbles looks at this and like he knows what to do. He knows that Fleck is getting overwhelmed, and he's like, is it okay if we take this paperwork and sit down somewhere in the library and do it? And the halfling's like, oh, no problem. I say, just bring it back when you're done, and I'll be able to get you your card.
That does make Flex relax a little bit because he doesn't know what any of this is. Uh,
And yeah, and even Scratch comes over and gives you a little hug.
he accepts the hug and gives Scratch a little hug back.
And Scribbles nods. Sounds good. Thank you so much, sir. And he's like, oh, no problem. As Scribbles then takes Fleck and Scratch and the paperwork and goes to a nice quiet spot in the library. And say just out of the way, just somewhere a little bit more calming, and sits down at a table.
Right. And Fleck hops onto the table to give this another go.
And roll with advantage.
With a
Yeah.
15, they can probably do it.
I mean, this isn't hard paperwork at all.
Yeah.
I would just say the DC was probably just a 10.
Yeah. So thankfully,
Yeah.
with Scribbles' help, he does make it through it.
Mhm. And Scribbles nods like, "There we go. You just needed to be in a little less pressured situation."
Fleck nods at that and gives Scribbles a little smile, like, "Thank you. I guess so."
And he nods. Yeah, sometimes it just takes the right environment to perform your best. Some people can, like myself, study in a very crowded space where there's a lot of noise. Others need a very quiet space, like in a library like this, that has little to say no to only little noise and is able to have have a space for themselves.
Fleck is thinking about that, like, oh yeah, he does get distracted a lot at home, doesn't he? And he kind of just nods at that, like, oh yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and Scribbles nods. Yeah, it's just we grow, we learn to know what we can do and we can't, and what environments we can thrive in to learn.
Fleck nods at that, and he kind of picks up the papers and is like, alright, and I guess we should go give these back.
Scribbles nods. Like, yep, let's go back to the counter. As he picks them up and goes back to the counter where the halfling is, he's like, "Here you go, sir. Here's the paperwork." And the halfling nods. He's like, "Oh, okay, good. Give me 1 second to make your card, and I say, don't leave." I say, "I'll be right back." As he then gets off the stool again and goes to back into the office area.
Mm-hmm.
Is a and it's not too long after he leaves. Is a he comes back quickly with a small card that's for the size of Fleck. He's like, here's your library card.
And Fleck takes the card and he looks at it because, oh wow, a he does have a library card now, doesn't he?
Yep, like it's still big for him. Like
Yeah,
it's still a little bit big, but it's definitely but it's not like a regular size library card. It's probably just like half the size.
yeah. And so he pockets that happily, and he's a light blue now.
And is saying Scratch is that is a bright yellow now. He's happy that he's happy. And Scribbles looks towards the halflings like, "Thank you very much, sir." And the halfling's like, "Oh, no problem. Have a nice day." And Scribbles nods like, "You too, sir." Uh, Probably best now that we have that flag. I think it's time that we get to our studies. How about that?
And Fleck nods with renewed determination, like, yeah, let's do it.
And
He can get a
Scribbles,
library card, who knows what else he can do.
yes, he has the power.
Yeah. The funny thing about him not having a library card is that he does canonically have his driver's license. We don't know how he got it. He j-
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. He has a driver's license and not a library card.
yeah, it's
So
fine.
I will be honest, I don't have a library card anymore, but I have
Same.
moved cities. But
Yeah, he had a driver's license before he knew how to read.
oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but Skibbles takes him back to the same table that they were, and like takes out his textbooks and everything, and he begins his tutoring of math.
All right. And Fleck is doing his best to keep up. Uh, he probably takes pretty well to actually being tutored. Um, though it's a little bit rough when he's left on his own, but like when he's being helped out, he can grasp things pretty alright.
Yeah, and Scribbles is very patient with him and make sure, along with Scratch helping out, that he understands the concepts and has brought like those little. I'm not very sure if you had them, maybe when you were a kid, but those like little cube things, like
Ah, yes, the
counting cubes.
cubes.
Yeah, the counting cubes. He brought those along for to visualize for Fleck, like how division and multiplication works, along with some basic addition and stuff, to like get the idea and everything.
Yeah, and Scribbles gets a fun little subtraction problem because maybe one cube is missing by the end of this.
Yeah, he does not know where that cube went. He probably thinks he accidentally flicked it off the table and now it's gone into the void.
Fleck just gives a little shrug at that because it's sitting in his hammer space. He thinks the cube is neat. The cube is his now.
The cube is his. Yeah, but yeah, say unless you have say I say for one more roll, maybe they get into another subject. Maybe roll one intelligence roll and see. Now that he gets math, let's see if he can try to do one other thing.
Yeah, probably English because that's where he struggles with the most next.
Hmm.
Um, I his modifier's a -2, so and since Scribbles is there, I'm gonna argue advantage.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah, advantage.
Ah, that's a 1 and a 0.
Oh my god.
Uh,
He can do math but can't do English.
he did. He does tell Scribbles in warning that he only just learned how to read in like August.
Fair. And Scribbles sees this, recognizes this, looks at the like probably a little bit too like advanced textbook for Fleck, and he's like, "Hang on." As he goes off into the library, eventually comes back with more like his level appropriate books and stories for reading. He's like, "Let's let's start with these books before we go on, since your level of reading comprehensions it would probably match these a bit more than your textbook."
And Fleck kind of nods at that. He's willing to give it a try. He's been struggling with this.
All right, roll again with advantage.
That's a 16.
Oh, yeah, these books are way better for you. You are understanding things a lot more with these books, and of course they're not like textbooks, but there's just more like you're learning more with what you're being given with these stories rather than the little bit of too advanced stages of the textbook.
Yeah, Fleck is definitely a lot happier for it too, cause like it's frustrating to have to get through something uninteresting and then it not really work.
Mhm. So yeah, Scribbles is able to teach you a little bit more about reading through these books, and he even then looks around. And is like, hey, if you like these books, I know where say I can. We could probably maybe get you some now that you have a library card.
And Fleck kind of turns a light blue at that. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess we can.
And Scribbles nods. Here, I'll show you where I found these books. As he then leads Fleck over to the section of books where it are that are his age appropriate, or at least not age appropriate, but like level for
Yeah.
his reading comprehension.
Yeah, so Fluck probably looks over them and he picks out a handful that seem interesting. For a moment, it looks like he's going to put it in his hammer space before he remembers that, no, wait, we're doing the library thing. Doing the
Yeah.
library card thing. It's fine.
Mm. Yeah, and Scribbles nods at this very approvingly as they as he then smiles at his choices, like, yeah, those look to be very good choices, Fleck. Let's say I think our time is is getting close up for usually when I usually do tutoring, but I am more than happy to set up another time or you come over another day to do more do more tutoring and bring your sibling. I'm more than happy to help anyone who is struggling.
Yeah, Fleck smiles and nods, like, because he is absolutely going to be coming back. He it's he does very much like this tutoring style. And though he does kind of go like, I'm not too sure if my sibling would want to come along, cause
Oh, why would that be?
eh, they're not really that interested in putting extra work into learning.
Well, he then smiles. There's fun ways. There are more you could quote unquote fun ways of learning. Pretty sure I can help your sibling out.
And that kind of turns in a little olive color at that, cause hmm, on one hand, he knows mares. On the other hand, it would be really funny to see how angry mares would get if they started to enjoy learning.
Insight.
Yes, you can roll insight.
Please roll insight.
Okay. That is a 0. That's just a straight d20. 16.
You can tell just the feeling on vibe from Scribbles. He's feeling a bit cocky. He feels like he can tutor almost anyone.
Yeah, fuck sure that one way or another, this is going to be fun. So he just gives Scribbles a big ol' smile. Like, yeah, I will bring my sibling next time.
Scribbles nods. Sounds good. Let me lead you. Let's go up to the counter though for now, and we can check out those books.
And Fleck readjusts the books in his arms and is ready to go along to check them out.
Yeah, and say Scribbles helps you over to the counter, and you're able to check out your books with with the halfling with the little stout halfling, and he's very kind and he's just like, oh, look like very good reads, good book choices, and he checks them out for you and gives them back. It's like, all right, that I forget how long library books are usually due for, but he tells you the date when they say they would need to be returned, and the halfling is like, if he and also there's a drop off little not a flask, it's a it's a bin. The bin, that was the word I was looking for. There's a drop off bin that you can put them in when when you return them outside, or you can come straight up to the counter and return them. Either way, I hope you enjoy your books. Have a nice day again.
Yeah, and Fleck gives him a big ol' smile because, yeah, he is going to enjoy reading them. Gonna do his best.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place to like say we have a nice pan out shot of Scribbles walking Fleck out of the library, and they saying goodbye and everything.
Mhm.
And Scratch even gives Fleck a little another little hug and goodbye.
Aw. Yeah, Fleck definitely returns the hug because, yes, Scratch seems like a good friend, is small and color changing.
Yeah, he's very happy. He's very Scratch is very happy. He's found another smaller, tiny, color changing toon like him. Yeah, and I think that's pretty good to leave it off. Thank you everyone for listening in.
Yeah, I hope that you all had fun because I know that I did. I hope that you had fun with my little rat as
I,
well, Winona.
yeah, I had very much fun with your little rat. Very cute rat. Adorable.
And
Is it?
Scribbles is extremely good. Uh, very fun to steal from.
Yeah, very fun to steal from. He, the rat has obtained flowers as a reward.
Yes, very, very good. Very powerful.
Yes, and one little cube where Scribbles is gonna be like, where the heck did I put it? Or where did the heck did it fling off to? But he'll never find it.
Yeah, just a little head scratch and then like, huh, well, whatever.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you everyone for listening in. Say goodbye. Have a nice
Alright,
time zone.
bye!
Bye.